DJI Mini 2 came out not only to improve on the first Mini, but to capture the minds of drone flyers across the globe. I've been using this drone now for 9 months. It's also a nice looking drone. You could say it has the look.
Walking like a man, hitting like a hammer, she's a juvenile scam. Never was a quitter, tasted like a raindrop. She's got the look. Heavenly bound, cause heaven's got a number when she's spinning me around. Kissing is a color, a loving is a wild dog. She's got the look. She's got the look. She's got the look. She's got the look. She's got the look.
Hey everyone, my name is Sean and welcome to Geeksvana. Here you will find a range of drone and tech focused content, so if you're new here and enjoy the video, perhaps hit the subscribe button. My awesome regulars watching this, I see you. Please hit the like button nice and early to wake up the YouTube algorithm and help me pay for my drone addiction therapy. Today we're looking at the DJI Mini 2 and giving you my thoughts on the drone after what is about 9 months from the November 2020 release date. We'll be looking at how it has performed for me, compare it to the first Mini, how it fits in the UK skies in terms of drone rules, and much more, including looking at what the Mini 3 might feature, so stay tuned. So first up, let's talk about the overall experience of the drone since purchasing it. As someone who has a YouTube channel where I focus on drones and tech, you can probably understand it when I say I own a few drones. However, 90% of the time I leave the house for a hobby flight or to capture some footage for the channel, it's the Mini 2 which ends up being flown. This isn't because it has a better camera than say the A2 which does have a dreamy camera. It's more the simplicity and ease of deployment, coupled with the ease of transport and of course those favourable UK drone rules. For sub 250 gram drones at the moment, that might change once drones like the A2 are released with the C label and I can get my A2 within 5 meters of uninvolved people, but the overflight of people and zero separation that this drone has for an operation is a real winner. In fact, even when I take out larger drones like my Inspire or A2 to get shots for the channel, clients, or purely as a hobby flight, I still take the Mini 2 as a backup in case I cannot fly the others for some other reason. So the Mini 2 is kind of my first choice and backup drone. The Mini 2 is an extremely capable drone for its size and sits well in the sky. Unless the winds are really starting to pick up, it has proven to be very reliable in most conditions and helps me to get the shots I want without alerting too many onlookers in the meantime. The wind resistance is decent even if you factor into how light the drone actually is. There are obviously going to be limitations in terms of wind resistance, but when you are assessing your flights properly and using a weather app, etc., you will find more than often you can fly with confidence. The controller is chunky, and when it first came out for the A2 it split users. Certainly the original leaked pictures which first showed us this large controller made me wonder if it was actually a test bed and not the final release model, as it seemed to fly in the face of the smaller form factor controllers which we're used to seeing with DJI. However, despite my initial skepticism, the controller fits well in my largish hand and I've got used to the form factor. If anything, it helps that both the A2 and Mini 2 use the same type of controller, as the muscle memory is now synced. You can of course pair the same controller to work with both drones, which can help if packing space or battery life becomes an issue. In fact, when I flew my Mavic Mini recently, the Mini one, the small controller kind of felt a little bit fiddly in my hands, so kudos to DJI on this one. In fact, let me know in the comments below which size controller you prefer. The smaller Mavic Star one or this new larger controller that the A2 and Mini 2 has had in their bundles. I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Occusync 2.0 is fantastic, and including it on such a small drone is a masterstroke from DJI, taking the Mini 2 into some formidable territory and simply blowing away comparable sized drones from other brands. Why should this matter? I fly my drone within the drone code and have no reason to fly it miles from a takeoff point. It's all about penetration. The strong signal means you can navigate around treetops and buildings in congested areas without concern that the RC signal is about to drop out on you. Again, beating out many of the competitors for me. Now, I still miss my Parrot and Affy drone, but the signal in congested areas did not give me the confidence to fly, so sadly, it had to go. Up next, battery life, which of course is important. Finding the balance between added weight and performance is key for any small drone maker. A lot of the time we're promised long flight times, which when you hold them up to scrutiny, just do not happen in the real world. I'm looking at you, DJI FPV drone. I see you there with your 20-minute claims. No, it's okay. I still love you. I know it's because I fly you so hard. All right, sorry, that's a bit embarrassing. My experience of flight time is solid, and I get close to the 31 minutes maximum claimed by DJI a lot of the time. Now, my flight style is slow and gentle to get the shots and footage I want, and I rarely even engage sports mode. This will obviously have an impact. Let me know in the comments below what your flying style is with the Mini 2 and what kind of flight times you're already getting with this battery. It would be interesting to know and would help other Mini 2 users to plan their flights. Also, with the combo package, the Mini 2 Fly More combo, you do get the 3 batteries and this handy little charging station, which of course also is very useful. If you press the side button there, it shows you how much power you have left in each battery that's in there, which is pretty handy. The batteries themselves, again, the build quality is good. They're solid. I haven't had any issues with them whatsoever. I was slightly concerned, I will admit, when the drone first came out, that you have to load the batteries in the back here. Kind of when I saw the initial photos, the initial Mini 1 model, I felt that was a little bit toyish feeling. But again, obviously, this is all focused on keeping the weight down to a minimum. And this does actually now work very, very well. So as I said, the combo Fly More pack comes with 3 batteries. So that gives you around 1.5 hours combined flight time. That's a lot. When was the last time you flew 3 30-minute batteries? In fact, let me know in the comments below how many batteries you tend to fly with when you're out. I mean camera drone flyers here, as I know you FPV flyers will burn many packs in a visit. One advantage of having a few batteries is, of course, that I'm able to visit multiple locations in the same trip without needing to charge as I go. That helps as well for anyone in the UK looking to use the new rules to work with the Mini 2 for property pictures, roof surveys, etc., because you're not constantly having to charge batteries. Talking about trips out to fly is a great time to talk about how portable this tiny little drone is. One of the first things I tend to invest in is a hard case for the drone, and that wasn't the case with the Mini 2, as you're able to fit it in any bag and not need an additional bag or case. It also means you have the drone on hand for impromptu flights. I often have it with me whatever the reason I'm going out for the day. You really can just throw it in any bag and just go. In terms of how the Mini 2 stacks up against the first Mini, well, it really is a different drone. It feels different and it flies different. Don't get me wrong, the Mavic Mini, or Mini 1 as you might now call it, is a great little drone, which still holds up very well against a lot of other small drones out there. However, the wind resistance and transmission quality on the Mini 2 combined with the full 4K capabilities really does make it a cut above, and in my opinion, a worthy upgrade without losing the benefits of the UK drone regulations. But again, the first Mini and now the Mini SE is still a decent drone with 2.7K capabilities and with a reliable gimbal. It could be argued that there is a need for something cheaper below the Mini 1 and Mini 2, which of course could now be the Mini SE, which has so far had releases across a number of countries across the world. For me, with the price around the $299 mark, I still think the Mini 1 and then the Mini 2, of course, is worth that extra amount to save for. Back to the Mini 2 itself, and a quick mention of how this drone is taking over the UK skies. Currently in the UK, you can fly the Mini 2 in more places than any other large drone without the need for any formal training. Simply register for an operator ID, stick that on the drone, and then read the manual fully. That's it. Although I would personally recommend you also take the Flyer ID test on the CAA website. It's free, and being able to show a Flyer ID to others helps them understand that you have a good grasp of the drone rules, but that's just my opinion. The Mini 2 can be flown over people and in congested areas here in the UK. In fact, you have 0 separation distance to people, so this really is a king of the UK sky right now for anyone looking to enjoy this as a hobby. You still need to follow all of the drone rules and stick to the drone code. There's a link in the description to our UK drone rule series, which will explain more, including videos focused on where you can fly the Mini 2 specifically here in the UK. This little drone is just as mighty over in the US, with the FAA currently not requiring hobby flyers to register their sub 250 gram drones, but you do need to gain a trust certificate, which is essentially the same as the UK Flyer ID. Interesting that the US requires this, where currently the UK does not. In terms of build quality, the DJI Mini 2 is well built, and I cannot really fault it too much. You need to be careful. This drone was built to get under the 250 gram magic limit, so some of the parts are made of quality but lightweight materials, meaning it will not take too much abuse. This is another advantage of the folding design, which then protects the drone from damage. The gimbal is sturdy, and I've personally had no issues with the camera performance. I do hear of more returns and faults from the community, but I think this might have more to do with the sheer numbers of Mini 2s out there. This drone really did sell very well. Up next, and the Mini 2 does not have obstacle avoidance. Although I do not personally use this even on some of the larger drones I fly, it can be a useful tool when navigating around something and a confidence building tool for new flyers, but overall it really isn't an issue with the Mini 2. There is talk of obstacle avoidance on the Mini 3, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. First, let's focus on the audience for the DJI Mini 2, which is broad. Not only has this drone been popular with the camera drone flyers already within the hobby, but I know quite a few FPV flyers who have made this their first camera drone too. More than any other type of drone, even the Mini 1, a new type of buyer is snapping up the Mini 2 more than ever before. With the advantages the drone has within the UK rules, the relatively affordable nature of the drone, along with the sheer portability, we now have a lot of people owning Mini 2s who would not call themselves droners. It really has opened up the market to a more mainstream consumer. So what next for this drone type? Will we see a Mini 3 on the horizon soon? Well, I would personally say yes. And if it were not for the pandemic and the Chipageddon the tech world has experienced in 2020 and 2021, I would be very confident of seeing a Mini 3 this side of Christmas. Whether this is still a manufacturing possibility is a question for DJI, but I am certain we'll see a Mini at some point. Will the Mini 3 break the mold set by the first two Mini releases? I don't think so. If you look closely at DJI and their recent release schedule, it seems to be becoming more like an Apple experience. For instance, you know pretty much that your next iPhone is going to be an upgrade on the existing model, but probably will not revolutionize how you make calls and surf the web. The same can be said of the existing release schedule for DJI. I would expect the Mini 3 to be decent and probably have things like obstacle avoidance, but it will not change how you fly or the results you get in any meaningful way. So how about the competition? Anything else out there which might be worth your money? Well, this is a pretty quick answer for me. I've not seen another drone out there which gives you the quality and reliability on offer with the Mini 2. I'm not trying to slight the other brands out there, but for me, I just want to unbox the drone and fly it. Having to mess around with settings and wait for updates just to get it even close to the original promised specs doesn't really interest me. Although I know there are a lot of people in the hobby who are happy to pay less and then work on the drone to get the most out of it. So it really is horses for courses. There are a couple of mini drones releasing which promise big things, and I'm genuinely excited to see what they're like when we get our hands on them. For now though, from where I fly from, the DJI Mini 2 is still the leader by some way. How about you? Let me know in the comments below if you have a non-DJI drone which is sub 250 grams and you would recommend it. I would be really interested to know. I might even try one. A few tech specs. The field of view is 83 degrees, which is decent, with an f-stop of 2.8 and a decent ISO range between 100 and 3200, and the effective pixel size is 12 megapixels. Video resolution is a marked improvement from the Mini 1 with the full 4K resolution possible at 24, 25 and 30 frames a second. You get more choices up to 60 frames a second once you go to 2.7K and below. The ever popular zoom is there with 2x zoom at 4K and 4x zoom at 1080. Although the zoom obviously causes the image to suffer, but it is still a cool function to have on an entry-level drone. In terms of professional use, we see more and more operators adding the Mini 2 to their fleet because of the excellent rules in the UK for sub 250 gram drones, but also because it's capable of capturing decent images and footage, which more than satisfy the client. So what don't I like about the Mini 2? There isn't a lot not to like. I suppose I would like it to withstand a little bit more wind, but then it wouldn't be under 250 grams. And that's probably the biggest point about anything I can say in terms of negativity about the Mini 2. I would like X, but then it wouldn't be under 250 gram drone. They've even released an update to work with the smart controller, something I didn't expect we would see until the Mini 3 and perhaps even a smart controller too. So with updates and time, this drone is growing from an already strong starting point. In terms of the DJI Fly App, it's a similar story here. I think there are improvements which could be made to help the average flyer, but to their credit, DJI are making regular updates to the app and Mini 2 firmware, which have moved things along nicely. So would I buy this drone again? For me, the DJI Mini 2 is an excellent drone within its class and also starts to take on drones above its class as well. It really is the consumer drone we all love to love. So yes, having flown this drone more than any other I own within the last 9 months, I would certainly buy one again. Now, there isn't an affiliate link in the description because we don't really do those. So if you're still watching and have gained some value from this, maybe hit the like button. It's free and wakes up the YouTube algorithm. Keep an eye on Geeksvana for more drone and tech content, much of it unlike anything you will see anywhere else. Thanks for watching. Sean out.
She's got the look. Fire in the eyes, naked to the bone as a lover's disguise.